Hello guys, it's Bino123 and I'm back with another Reddit video, and today I'm doing r/entitledparents because someone in the comments recommended me to do it and I was like, why not? Also, my mic started working again magically after I sent an angry complaint to the company, so that was embarrassing. Entitled mum ends up in court. Let me preface this by saying this happened a very long time ago, and while I could come to a reasonable approximation of the dialogue that surrounded this, I won't bother. I don't recall everything that was said, just some of the circumstances. Okay, first off, I am a model railroader, specifically a model in O scale. For reference, that means that the average locomotive is about 3 to 4 inches tall and up to a foot long, depending on the type that is. One summer, I was taking part in a model railroad fair at our local mall, where I was displaying some of my models. Being that I'm from the USA, the fact that I modeled the British Isles, GWR, for you Brit readers, meant that my display really stood out. Now, as there's always kids at these types of shows, I had taken to putting a plexiglass side around my layout to prevent children from reaching in and touching things, or damaging various parts of the structures and models that went with the railroad. While I was watching one locomotive, I had just received leave the staging area. It's a small 3-track system that lets me funnel trains into the layout and then out as needed. I remember this one lady making comments about the cute little trains, getting that train running at a nice but slow pace. I approached her and smiled, asking if there was any questions she had. The lady never missed a beat, pointing to the train I had just started, and told me that her son liked trains, and I should sell her one for him. Now, truth be known, this wasn't an uncommon thing to happen. People, usually other modelers, may ask if some units are up for sale. Sometimes they are, but typically not. I explained to her that the locomotive wasn't for sale, and that even if it was, she wouldn't have liked the price anyway, noting that the engine she was pointing to had cost me close to $1,000. The lady was having none of it and offered me $10 for it. Since it was obviously a toy, I ignored her and went back to getting the next train set up on the staging track. Waiting for that one to return. As I do this, I hear an odd sound and look up just in time to see the lady picking up the locomotive up off the track and moving to hand it to her kid. I called out for her to stop, which may have been a mistake as she promptly dropped it on the ground. The engine, thought somewhat robust and heavy, was made of rather soft brass. When it hit the ground, there was a sickening crunch. I knew the sound that the engine was done for, broken, beyond repair. The lady looked down at it, shrugged and kicked it back under the table before starting to walk off. Thankfully, security quickly caught up with her and detained her, while police were called. All the while she kept saying, "It's just a toy, men don't play with toys," while ignoring the fact that she was surrounded by dozens of train layouts with just as many grown men showing off their work. Police arrested her on destruction of private property charges, while the mall itself barred her from ever setting foot on the property again. Later, with her information on hand from the police report, I filed a case against her for the replacement of the locomotive. You won't believe it, but she had the gall to try to convince the judge that it was just a toy and the receipts I had for purchasing of the locomotive weren't real, seeing that she had seen the exact same locomotive at Walmart herself. Well, the case ended up in my favor, with her having to pay my replacement cost as well as some punitive damages. The judge ended the case with a simple warning that just because you want something doesn't give you the right to simply take it. From the criminal side of things, I think the lady ended up with 40 or so hours of community service and a substantial fine as well. Here's hoping she learnt her lesson. So this is titled, Entitled Mother Doesn't Understand That Edibles Are Not for Children. EM means entitled mother, EB means entitled brat, M just means me. So this happened just today. I'm from California, and just recently it became legal to purchase marijuana for recreational use, but it has been legal for medical use for quite some time. I personally have had a medical card for anxiety issues since I was 18. I am 20. This episode happened right after I left a medical shop. I had just purchased a couple CBD oils and a few edibles, to be exact a brownie, cookies and a pack of gummy worms. As I left the shop, I sat on a bus bench waiting for the bus to arrive. I start packing my stuff into my bag, but I pull out my gummy worms to try to have some edibles on the ride home in order to have them hit me in time for a family event to be relaxed. When I hopped on the bus, I sat down across from EB and his mother EM. EB, a chubby little boy with silver tooth, about 9 or so, eyes me pulling out gummy worms from my pocket and starts throwing a temper tantrum. EB, Mummy, I want gummies, now! EM, somewhat obese middle-aged woman, Mister, can you share your candies with my son? He is hungry and would love some. She was very nice in asking and was not rude yet. M, for the record, I am a very generous and share if it's not medicated, but in this case it's very illegal to give a minor. Sorry, they are for adult consumption only. They are medical marijuana edibles for my anxiety. EM, stop lying, they look like regular gummy. Give them to him. Candies are for kids anyway. M, sorry ma'am, I can show you where it says for adult consumption. I then proceed to pull them out and show her the label. EB at this moment tried to snatch the pack out of my hands and managed to take it. I start panicking, so I snatch it back. After all, I'm not trying to be accused of providing minors with drugs. EM and EB get livid. EB starts screaming and yelling. EM, that man is a thief. He snatched the candies from my son. At this moment, the bus driver pulls into a bus stop and I decide to try and get off. I was on the verge of a panic attack and I just was afraid to be blamed for trying to give a minor weed when I was trying to not let him have it. To my best luck, EB and EM decided to follow me, screaming at me to return the stolen candy. She runs up to a policeman at a burger stand and points to me saying I stole her son's candy. The policeman calls me over and we talk. EM, this man has my son's candy and we want him arrested. M, she's lying, officer. I was trying to explain to her that it's my edibles that I have just purchased. Her son attempted to steal them from me a few minutes ago. Officer asked me to show him the gummies and clearly sees the cannabis warning label. Cop, ma'am, are you lying or telling the truth? Because if you are telling the truth, then we would have to arrest you for providing drugs to a minor. If you are lying, please stop harassing this man. EB, he's lying that it isn't our candy. He hid them in his bag. Cop, ma'am, please leave this man alone. He doesn't have your candies and frankly, you are interrupting our lunch break. EB, well, arrest him then. He is doing drugs and offered to my son. The police ask EB to say the story and he begins to scream that he wants gummies, worms, and that he asked me to share and I said no. Finally, the cop told the lady to leave me alone or they would arrest her for disturbing the peace. After that, she walked away upset, but she was quiet. I was then reprimanded by the police officer, saying that next time, keep it inside my bag to avoid issues and keep myself from getting a citizen or arrest. Oh, I meant citation. This one's titled, Let Him in Your Room. Every year, my family invites people over to our house for a potluck and a bonfire. My room has a lot of breakable items, and I have a collection of swords and knives. I know they're weapons and I never treated them as toys. You'd think it would be obvious that I didn't want any little kids to get a hold of. On the night of the hayride, I put a sign on my door asking people to keep out, and a childproof cover on the doorknob. The party started and everyone was having a great time. I was downstairs talking with my friends when we heard a call from upstairs. "Mommy, I can't open the door." One of my friends and I ran upstairs to see what was happening, and a woman followed us. I thought she was going to help us, but boy was I wrong. Sure enough, there was a kid trying to open my door. His mom tried to talk to him. "What's up?" "I want to go in here, but there's a thing on the door," he said. "I can't get in. Open." To my dismay, this woman offered to help her child break into my room. "Sorry," I said. "That's my bedroom and we aren't allowing anyone in there. I have a lot of breakable items in there. He could go downstairs and play with the other kids." "But I don't want to play downstairs," the kid says. "I want to go in there." "I'm sure he won't cause too much trouble," his mother said. "He's just curious. Once he sees that it's just a boring girl's room, he'll probably go back downstairs." Before I or my friend could say anything, she opened the door and turned the lights on to reveal my collection of swords, knives, figurines, and various other items. Luckily, I had the swords mounted on the wall so he couldn't get to them, but that didn't stop this woman from going ballistic. "Why on earth do you have so many weapons? What do you need them for? How does your mother allow you to have all of this? There's no way you're allowing to have this. I'm going to tell her right now, so say goodbye to all your stuff." She picked up her child and took him downstairs. My friend and I went downstairs just in time to see this woman hand off her child to the dad and ask to speak to my mom in private. To this day, my mother hasn't told me what happened during that conversation, so all I know is that that family left shortly afterwards. This one was just titled, The State of the Sub Right Now. "Hippity hoppity. You now owe my son your property, because he's at the top of his class." And that's just like a quick segue to say this is my title and thumbnail of the video. Well, thumbnail. This is the end of the video, guys, so I hope you guys like, comment, subscribe, tell me if I should do this more. Depending on the views, I could quit choosing beggars because everyone's doing it and I feel like I'm not getting any views because of it. Anyway, guys, make sure to subscribe. Hopefully I'll get better at reading because I know I've been stuttering a bit. Peace out.